Hello, welcome to Legends of Our Time on GBC News, Ghana Television, and on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Gifty AJ, and today we are so grateful to host one of the paramount chiefs of the Anglo state, as the Dufia of Witi and Miafiaga of the Anglo Kingdom. He is championing the cause of his people as well as his motherland. Miafiaga Togbe Nyaho Tamaklo VI is my guest for this edition of Legends of Our Time. Hello, Togbe.
Hello.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Hello, Gifty. I'm glad to have you here. Thank you.
Okay, so quickly, tell us a bit about the Anglo state and the various hierarchies therein.
Basically, I prefer to use Anglo Kingdom.
Okay.
Because our existence dates back to 500 AD when we were with the Yorubas in the Oyo Empire.
Okay, that's Nigeria.
Nigeria, exactly. And then we started moving eastwards into Dahomey, Togo, and then to present-day Ghana.
Okay.
In Ghana, our structure in terms of governance is with our Womafia at the highest level,
okay,
and then the three rulers, the Miafiaga, then the Dome, and then the Dushifiaga. We also have the Apadada, who acts as the day-to-day representative of the Awomefia.
Okay.
So that is the political structure of the Anglon. Just below that is the paramount chiefs.
Okay.
So apart from being the Miafiaga, I'm also the paramount chief of Komashime. Okay. And below the paramount chiefs, you have the Dufia. The Dufia, those are the rulers or the chiefs of the 36 states that constitute the Anglon Kingdom. More than ever, there are also about 5 or 6 chiefs in every town. Okay. That is the organizational political structure of the Anglons. But what addressing the kingdom is the fact that our people are also still in Togo, they are in Benin, and in Nigeria up to Badagry.
Oh, okay.
And that's why we call it a kingdom.
Wow.
It was the first recognized kingdom in Ghana, in addition to the Ashanti Kingdom and the Dagbon Kingdom.
Wow, that's impressive. So as the Miafiaga, what exactly is your role in there?
So in times of old, the Miafiaga, the Dome, and the right wing, which is Miafiaga means left.
Okay.
It's organized on the basis of clans. Every Anglo citizen belongs to a clan. There are 15 clans. Those 15 clans are divided among the divisions that I've talked about. So in times of war, the Miafiaga, the Domega, and the Dushifiaga will lead the Anglo people into war based on where the attack is coming from. And when the Miafiaga or the Mia section gets in, that is when the war has begun, because most of the clans are under the Miafiaga. And so that is the structure of the Anglo clanship. Okay. So in essence, you can describe the Anglo kingdom in terms of the wings, which is left, middle, and the right, and then the clanship, the 15 clans. Okay. Those are the central elements of the Anglo Kingdom.
Okay, so let's look at your, beyond being the Miafiaga, you're also a Dufia, a chief of a particular traditional area.
Yeah.
That's Witi.
Wuti, yes.
Okay, tell us a bit about your area, the people, their culture, and how is it?
So basically, when you talk about Wuti, you are talking about a town amongst 36 towns. I call the Anglo tribe the biggest tribal family. Everybody is related to everyone because of years and years of intermarriage.
Okay.
Yeah. So in essence, you find that people cherish their language. They speak the Ewe language. They are very, very. They cling a lot to their culture, and they are of their heritage.
I know, every people.
That's what we are. I mean, it's our heritage and we love it. We just love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's look at your accession to the throne. How did you come to be named as the rightful person for the stool or the throne?
So my great great granddad, Togbi Nyahota Maklo, I mean, was a very prominent person. And when he died, it took 36 years to get the next chief.
Ah.
Yeah.
Why?
He was so renowned in terms of business. He was very, very prominent in developing the Anglo. He also sent two of his sons, Ben Pokuta Maklo and Awuno, to Cambridge and then to Oxford.
At the time?
At the time,
Oh,
to be lawyers.
which year was that?
That would have been in the late 1800s to the early 1900s.
Okay.
And he was very, very, very rich. He named one of his sons Hien, which is poverty, which means that he had everything, lots of wives, 150 children, lots of property.
Okay.
But the only thing that he couldn't conquer was death.
Okay.
And so he named one of his children Hien. And that's where it's at. He died in 1980.
Okay.
But his firstborn son, Potufa, died in 1927. So he didn't get a chance to become a chief. And so after many years, realized that it's time to get back to the Potufa line, of which I'm one.
Yeah, one.
So as soon as I came down to Ghana in 2018, they identified me as one of the people who will be a potential person for the throne. But it's competitive. Out of 150 children, you can imagine. It's not an easy task.
So what worked in your advantage?
I think it's my background, being a former police commissioner, having been in local government administration for close to 25 years.
Okay.
And I believe my personal demeanor with people. So yeah, I think that must have played a big factor in my consideration to be the next chief.
The next chief. Let's go back to your coronation period.
Yes.
You made a statement, which I want to quickly refer you. You said the Anlo spirit must rise.
Yes.
That was deep.
Yes.
By that statement, what did you want to get across or mean?
When I was in Canada, I had seen situations where Anglo chiefs were being put down.
Okay.
And I saw that Anglo chiefs were not reacting. And by our culture, most chiefs tend to be very quiet. But I think it's a time where we need to advocate for ourselves. And so when I was coronated, I wanted to send a statement that we will not keep quiet. We will make noise. We will develop our place.
Okay.
We won't sit in one place.
Okay.
We will move all over. We will engage the world. And that's what I meant by the Anglo spirit must rise. And when I saw this for Bechocho, I sat back and I said, the Anglo spirit has risen.
That even leads me to my next question. You know, during the recent Hogbo Chocho Festival, for the first time in the history of this country, for about 120 years, we saw the Asantehene go into the Anlo land. Even the was there, and that was historic, you know. So when you sat down and you observed those moments, you know, how did you feel as an Anglo man, and secondly, as a traditional ruler?
The Anglo relationship with the Ashantis dates back as 1867. We had an alliance, and that alliance was to forge a strong front against the British. Since then, the Anglos and the Ashantis have become very, very close friends in terms of traditional rulership. The Gans have also been a part of the Evers because, you know, we all left Nigeria and they came from Ile-Ife. So we have had some kind of relationship with the Gans. For the two people to come together to this particular Ogbechoto, it was very, very historic. And singularly, I want to say, I was chosen to pour libation for the two kings. Because they had to go through my paramountcy before entering Anglon. So I received the Gamanche right in my palace and then turned around to go and receive the Ashantihini. But by the time I got there, they had poured a libation for him. So at least 2 libations were poured for him. Then I went with him to the Awamefie's house and then we welcomed him. So This Ogbechocho will go down as one of the most historic in the annals of Ghana's history. Somebody said that this year has not been too good for Ghana, but this has been the best experience for Ghana. And to remember that we are all one people, regardless of where we come from. And if we can unite, we can make Ghana a very, very great country.
And I also learned you played a key role in that whole organization, having the Asantehene come to Angloland and the Gamanche as well.
Right.
Yes, I learned you played a key role. I learned.
Yes,
somebody told
yes,
me.
I did, and that's what I meant by pouring libation for them.
What was some of the behind-the-scenes thing that you did that you can share with us?
Yeah, no, but to be fair, I think there was a central planning committee of which I wasn't part of, and they exceptionally put this whole thing together. But in terms of welcoming them into my paramountcy, two great kings, the Ashanti king and then the Ga king, the coordination was marvelous.
Fantastic.
I think it's on YouTube, receiving the Gamanche in my palace, and then the number of vehicles that Ashanti brought, pouring the libation at Savie Tula, all of that will go down well in our history. I'm proud to be part of this history.
I can imagine.
Thank you.
So for what we have established now, this kind of unity, togetherness, what can we do as a people to take advantage of the movement towards development?
I think it's frivolous and just sometimes capricious to misjudge each other. But I think we need to work with goodwill, particularly knowing that we are all Ghanaians and everybody has good intentions for Ghana. And when it comes to leadership, sometimes until you are sitting on that mantle, you don't know exactly what's going on. So sometimes we need to be a little gentle with our leaders. I want to believe that they have good intentions. The Africa and Ghana per se, not to make excuses, is always caught up in its colonial past. That we have strong forces that have defined who we are in terms of raw material base, being a capital environment for other countries, and also goods coming in. But with a little bit of and staying together and being cohesive, I think Ghana can make it. We have a great name outside, being the first country, Sub-Saharan, to gain independence, and then to launch the African continent into a whole liberation movement, and also to align with the civil rights movement in the US, and also with the African diaspora in outside, looking up to us and coming back in the Wakanda style, you know. So I mean, you can't count Ghana out. We've just begun.
And you know, for the first time in, I learned about 15 years, the Vice President also made his first visit to Anglo, and that was at the Ogbechocho Festival.
Yes.
So that was also another plus.
That was a big plus. And I mean, I've seen some YouTube scenarios that I didn't really see when I was sitting up there. All I thought I saw was some good vibes. But when I saw the YouTube, the story was different from what I had seen. I didn't know how to reconcile it, but hey, we're in the era of politics, so I'll leave that to the politicians to take care of.
Let me pick your mind on that. Once you were there, and of course you didn't see, but it came out that this is what happened, and what will be your comment. Were you, how did you take the news when you read it, you know?
To be fair, I mean, the speech was not bad. I mean, you have to toot your own horn, which was happening. And I never thought I would see the picture that I saw on YouTube. And so I'm not sure exactly how it came about. But I think it was a fairly good speech, and personally I received it well.
You have lived in Canada for almost 3 decades, like 30 years, and you have seen their kind of development. With this opportunity given you, what are you going to kind of carry home or introduce in your locality so that we can kind of have that kind of development that you have experienced in Canada?
So, I mean, grateful to have gone through a lot of experiences. I left Ghana, I lived in Botswana, lived in Zimbabwe,
Kenya.
Zambia, yeah, through Kenya, South Africa. I did my major in sociology, and my passion was more on rural underdevelopment and issues of African traditional religion. But when I got to Canada, I did my MBA. And since then, I've been in local government administration. Governance is my strongest point. I hope to bring a strong sense of governance into the Anglo Kingdom, because with strong governance, you can have some bit of success. But if your governance is weak, your policy structures are undefined, your senior rulership is not cohesive. It's very, very difficult to have a good strategic plan and also to have a great mission and have a very fulfilling vision. So those are the kind of things that I intend to bring to Ghana to move the Anglo Kingdom forward.
So far, what will you describe as your greatest challenges when it comes to your jurisdictional area?
When I was excluded or secluded, my biggest fear was how I was going to articulate myself in Ewe. I mean,
you can't speak your language.
I speak Ewe.
Miafiaga.
Yes, I speak the language, but because I had lived outside for so long, I wasn't sure whether I'll be able to articulate well in Ewe. I surprised myself when I did. I did so well, but it's still a challenge in terms of getting the vocabulary right, and it's some of the things I need to work on. I also need to work on a little bit of understanding the culture more. For example, what surprised me about our religion is that when I discovered that the word voodoo means vo, freedom, and do means community. So it was nothing else but the fact that our people wanted freedom of community based on truth and based on the rule of law, which we practice outside of Ghana. So yeah, I think that's where I am, learning more about the culture, learning more about myself, and going out there and giving my best to my people.
But what are the specific problems in the infrastructure, social amenities? What have you identified that you have to work on to support your people?
Yeah, it's the lack of economics. It's a big problem for us. So what we need to bring to that place is development. When the Akosombo Dam was built, it helped the people of Ghana, but it deprived the flow of water into the lagoon. And most of our people are dependent on the lagoon. So the situation we have now is that aquatic life is very, very challenged. So when I went to Canada, we had 200 people from the Anyanui area in my paramountcy going into the lagoon area, digging with their hands to bring out weeds in order to allow water to flow from the Adan River into the Anyanui, which they were successful with funds provided by myself from Ghana. But lately, I've been able to speak to the Volta River Authority. They are trying to bring in some machinery so that we can get into a more aggressive form of dredging. The other one is the agriculture. I believe strongly that with strong government support, the Volta area can be the next food basket for even Ghana and for West Africa. So we need to tend to our lands and have diverse agriculture and ensure that our people have sufficient food for themselves. Yeah.
I'll take a quick break, my first break, and when I come back, we'll talk more. I'm enjoying the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, Gifty.
Okay, so I'll take a quick break, and when I come back, I'll continue. Please stay with us.
Okay.
Legends of our time on GBC News, Ghana Television, and we also stream live on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Gifty AJ, and my guest for today is one of the paramount chiefs of the Anglo Kingdom, and his name is Miafiaga Togbe Tamaklo the Sixth. Miafiaga, thank you again. So now let's look at the potentials you have identified in your area. Although you've talked about the challenges, but I'm sure there are some good vibes that we can talk about. So what are some of the potentials that you would want to build on?
It's the human resource capacity. I mean, the Ewe people are very well educated. Most of them live outside. I think we need to encourage them to take their kingdom a little bit more seriously and invest in the Anglon area.
Okay.
Yeah. The other one is the pristine and peaceful environment that we have.
Okay.
You know, it's very, very encouraging to find people come to the Anglon area and they don't want to leave. So we need to attract more and more people.
That's tourism.
Yes, and then the tourism, the Fort Princeton. I have a friend who has also indicated that they want to redesign it. So they are looking for blueprints and also use that place as an attractive area to bring people into the Anglon area. So these are the potentials that we have: tourism, peaceful and environment, and human resources. And generally, the Anglon people are very welcoming as well. But when you come, we also teach you a little bit of the language because they are polyglots. They speak many, many languages. So we encourage other people within Ghana to speak as many languages, including Ewe.
And I know another area you didn't touch on is agriculture, the planting of shallots, that onion variety, the small ones. Yes, I learned a lot of people are into that venture, and also fishing. So maybe if you can have a policy towards, I mean, this aspect of agriculture to improve the livelihoods of your people.
Yeah, I agree totally with you. In my speech during the coronation, I mentioned having the biggest fish pond, which is, if we have the flow of water, we can then delineate areas where we can have fish ponds. We can also have sweet potatoes, which I talked about, and have Ghanaian industries for tomatoes that sometimes get rotten because we don't have the industries around there, as well as the shallots that you talk about. But I think more than anything, we need the value-added Ghana industries to sustain those products so that they don't go waste. And then shrimps and then tilapia, as well as catfish. As long as we have the water flowing, I think we can take advantage of that flow in order to be able to boost production.
I'm also wondering if you have a policy on education, because your background is teaching, you are an educationist. So what have you identified in terms of potentials, or even suggestions or policies that we can improve our kind of what exists elsewhere?
Yeah, one of the things that was mentioned during the Hugbechocho was that the BEC results have actually fallen. Yeah, and so our encouragement to our children is that the vim and the energy that they put in the cultural display, which I've never seen before, they can use the same vim and energy towards their education. Like people like this girl, Lamini, the girl who did so well and now is in Harvard. And so I don't think we should get discouraged by one BEC result, but we should go back to using the same tenacity that has made us successful in the past for now to be able to improve on our educational grades. Okay,
so let's talk about Canada Diaries. You were a black man that left your country or some part of Africa to go to Canada, and you've been there for about 30 years. I mean, what were the initial challenges that you encountered, and how did you overcome those challenges?
Yeah, I mean, it might look like a trifle, but I know when I started my MBA program, sometimes it was difficult to hear the accent of the professor. And you walk through the snow, your ears are frozen, you get to the classroom, and then all of a sudden you can't hear the professor, you can't take down notes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was tough. But the second year, I was able to adjust, and I sailed through with many, many A's, even though I was then the president of the African Student Union at the university.
Which university was that?
University of New Brunswick. Yeah, and then when I left, instead of going to corporate world, I decided to work with the First Peoples of Canada, which is we call the First Nations. And I stayed there for over 13 years.
What do they do?
They have their own government. They have their own traditional government. You see them on horses. Sometimes you describe them as Red Indians.
Okay.
But they're the people that own Canada first, before the French and the British came in. And they have their own specific way of life, their culture and everything. So I was a principal advisor to their chiefs and then to their councillors. And then later on became a chief administrative officer for some of the rural communities in Ghana. I think the challenge is trying to understand the culture of Canada. Most people travel and they're not able to hit the glass ceiling. They come to the middle and they are satisfied. And when you try to get to the top, you meet a lot of resistance. And when I got to the top, oh, it was hell.
I learned to become a police commissioner. I mean, a black person, and it takes a lot of hard work, determination, and dedication.
It was brutal. It was brutal. I mean, but like I said, if you have the tenacity, the knowledge, and the perseverance, because once you get to the table with all of that assets, then you are telling the world that don't judge my people by their color, but give them the opportunity to sit at the table. And since then, I think in Edmonton, lots of people of my background have had the courage and they are doing so well. Adding to the fact that I was the president of the Ghana community for 10 years. And it's the legacy left in Canada I'm proud of. And I think it's time now to turn to my people in Ghana and do the same.
Those expertise
here.
Attract another man with a background in education to try to go into a different profession altogether, like security, policing. What attracted you into the service?
So the nature of being a commissioner of police, it means that you are part of a commission that oversees the entire police. And in the Canadian sense, our police commission is civilian. So they count on your different assets to expect you to be able to manage a police force. Hence, that's what they gave me for my responsibility. And it's in the same sense that I've become chief, because you looked at my background and you said, no, this guy can come and help us if he's a chief. And so it's the same thinking. One thing leads to the other, and then hopefully you can build on that success to be able to help in your next endeavor.
So as the police commissioner, what really is your day-to-day activities? What do you do to ensure peace and order?
A friend of mine was so surprised. He said, hey, I saw you in a helicopter, you know, surveying the city of Edmonton. He's always talked about that. Our role is to build a strategic direction of the police service. Our role is to ensure that the excesses of policing, which sometimes comes with police brutalities, are not expressed on our citizenry. Our role is to ensure that our police are held to the highest level of professionalism, so that at the end of the day, safety and security of the people of Edmonton is not compromised. That is our main role.
Your mandate.
Yes.
So, Miafiaga, what would you describe as the highlights of your career as the police commissioner?
Ooh. I think the highlight would be many people of my color realize that they did not have to be afraid in Edmonton, and that they had the assurance that they'll be treated fairly well when they are confronted with any law enforcement. That, I think, is satisfactory to me, because when you live in fear, you cannot achieve your best self. And so by creating an environment where there's a full of different backgrounds, I believe is and was the highest level of my satisfaction living in Edmonton. I smile because I am happy.
And your most challenging moment, just one episode can do, the most challenging period of your career?
The most challenging one for me was when I became a police commissioner, and the some people felt that I did not deserve to be there,
Okay.
and that my resume was going to be investigated, and that my resume was padded. And they did all their investigations only to realize that
Yeah.
I had really done what I had done. And I remember calling my mom in Ghana, and I was so low. And my mom said, look, somebody else's story will come by.
Yeah.
So just hang in there.
Okay.
And so that, I would say, was
Was-
one of the toughest. But I knew that I had to hang in there for the sake of other people who were coming after me. And so that I would describe was very, very challenging
Very
for me.
challenging.
Yes.
A quick one. You have worked with the Canadian police, you know
Yeah.
the way they operate,
Yeah.
and you've also lived in Ghana.
Yes.
What are some of the lessons we can learn from Canada that we can introduce in Ghana to help our police force, especially when we're talking about peace and order?
What I learned about the Canadian system is the civilian oversight and the police complaint process, where somebody feels they've been wrong, that they can, go take right to a place and say they've been wrong. I think I don't know about the policing system in Ghana, so I'll be a little biased. But everywhere that you have a civilian oversight, the civilian oversight provides a strong check against police excesses.
Okay. So aside being a police officer, you were also into, you became the administrative chief officer, consultant, kind of, also in Canada. What exactly was in that portfolio you did as an administrator?
So apart from having been a police commissioner that oversaw, with the commission oversaw the police service in Edmonton, my role as a chief executive officer or a chief administrative officer was to be the front person for the mayor and council, or the chief and council, and provide services and programs for the citizenry of that community. It's not very different from the work of a mayor of, say, Accra. In the case of Canada, you are the only employee of the mayor and council, but you employ all other people that work for you.
Okay.
And so your job is to ensure that municipal services are being provided to a satisfactory level for all the citizens. And I did that for close to 20 years.
Wow, that's
Yes.
impressive. But I learned Canada has a lot of opportunities for young Africans in terms of education. How can young people in your area and also in Ghana take advantage of that?
Yeah, so I guess people send their children to do first degrees and all of those things. And I don't know how they do it because it's expensive.
Okay.
But most people who are coming for their masters sometimes come on
Partial scholarship.
scholarships, or come on what they call some teaching assistance
Okay.
scholarships. So the great thing about Canadian education is the ability for people to have an even education. It's not like the US where you have the Harvard. Every university in Canada is almost at par.
Okay.
So when you come in there, you are really getting a first-class education, regardless of what university you yourself. Yes.
Okay. Let's look at some of the other affiliations, or how do you call it, friendships or associations that you've worked with. I know you've worked with a couple of them. You've become executive, or you've been in executive roles in those associations. Share some with us.
So I also work as the vice president for the Council for the Advancement of African Canadians. And in that capacity, our role, or my role, was to ensure that people from every aspect of the continent of Africa had the comfort to live in Edmonton or Alberta without any fear of the law, without any discrimination, and to ensure that their children are successful in whatever endeavor, whether it's in school. And it's one area that I left feeling very fulfilled, because today the African population is doing very, very well, particularly the Somali population, which is Muslim, and therefore sometimes the discrimination goes against them. So I had a bond to say with the president of the Somali community, funded them with monies from the Ghana Friendship Association to help them with youth programs. And to date, I would say they've been very, very successful. Yeah, yes.
Miafiaga will take our second break. We'll be back shortly.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the program is still Legends of Our Time, and we'll take our second break. We'll be right back. So much for selecting GBC News, Ghana Television, and watching on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Gifty AJ, and my guest for today is Miafiaga Togbe Tamaklo the Sixth. Hello, Togbe. Yeah, we have to go personal. Want to know your immediate family, nuclear family, but let's quickly wrap up on the Canada diaries.
Okay.
Yeah, so any add-on before we get into your family life?
One thing I can say is that I'm very, very grateful to Canada for making me who I am in my adult life.
Okay.
It's a country I enjoy. It's a country I will encourage people to visit and experience. It's been voted one of the best countries to live in for 7 years, many years ago.
Okay.
And I want to have a shout out to Canadians that I'm here representing you as well as representing Ghana.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So who is that beautiful woman behind Miafiaga, and how many kids you have?
So I tease a lot of Ghanaians when I was, when I was president of the Ghana Association, and this is just a tease, that I couldn't find a wife in Ghana, so I had to go to Botswana. Okay. So my wife is from Botswana. Yeah, she has a double master's, a PhD, science education.
Okay.
She has a black belt in karate. And so I make sure that she has the last word in the home.
Okay.
Yeah, she comes from a royal family, which is the Pilani family of Botswana and South Africa. She's Dr. Sinseta Nono Pilani. And yeah, that's who she is. We have a son, Duncan, between us. And
how old is he?
Duncan is 21, named after my dad. Yes, but along the way, we've also raised many other kids.
Sure.
Yeah, so Duncan has siblings, close to 6 siblings that pass through our home. Yes.
So how have you been able to maintain peace, love, harmony in your home, Togbe?
It's work. Love is a verb. I mean, you have to act on it. And it's challenging because I'm working all over the place, and it's painful. I mean, I want to be very, very, very open about it, and I look forward to the day that my family can join me in Ghana and that we can all be settled. But I think communication is key. I find myself waking up at 1 o'clock every day to call Canada, because by then she's come back from work, and then we can talk. So communication is key. Being open, being frank with each other is key to maintaining a successful relationship. But it's not an easy one when you are apart. Yes, yeah. I have a nephew that came to me from France, and then he said something that made me laugh. He's young, 24-year-old. He said, I find one Ghanaian, I think I'm in love. I turn around, I find another one, I think I'm in love with another one. So it's just, all Ghanaians are so beautiful, so you have to be very, very careful.
Yeah, you have to be very strategic.
Very, very committed to your situation. Otherwise, anything can happen. Yeah.
So what makes Togbe happy, and what are your low points?
I think by demeanor, I'm a happy person. And that's what people tell me. My low point may be when I miss my family. Yeah, or when they tell me they've missed me. Then I have to figure out, should I leave and go to them now, or should I wait till that 4 months, 5 months? That sometimes is hard. And then the other one is to see the conditions of people when I go out there
Okay.
than when they struggle, because I have to listen to the plight of people and to
Sure.
figure out how
What
to
to do.
help them. That sometimes is hard on me, but yeah, life is suffering, and what can you say?
What
The
can
best
you
you can
say?
do is to alleviate it to the best of your ability, and that's what I can do. Yeah.
Any regrets so far?
About my role here,
Anything in life?
yeah, I think the regrets I have is will be more with my children. I think that I maybe given a second chance in life
Okay.
to do certain things differently,
Okay.
because hindsight is always 2020. Yeah, and so when your kids are not where they ought to be,
Yeah.
sometimes as a parent you take it
worried.
personally. Maybe it's not even your fault, right? And you wish that you were given a second chance to be able to raise them a little differently. And I'm sure all parents go through that, so it's not exclusive to me. So that, I think, sometimes may be something I wish I could do differently. But so far, I think the Lord has been kind,
To
and
you.
I'll take it the way as it is.
And your happiest moment? Most memorable moment?
My happiest moment, I guess, would have been, not would have been. My happiest moment were when I used to party. Yeah, I used to party a lot. And it looks like I partied hard to be able to get into this room, because this one you can't. You can't do much. My nephew says it's like being in the monastery. So, yeah, I used to be just a party, a lover of people through fanciful parties in Canada. And so those were my happiest moments. Now it's more business, wanting to leave a good legacy, change people's lives. And so yeah, when people's lives are being impacted now, it's my
So
moment.
let's reinforce it. How prepared are you towards this course? Assure us.
I think everything I've done in my life has been geared towards this moment.
Okay.
Because I find myself doing work without really having to be scared or tired, because I've already done some of the work.
Okay.
The part that I need to be more cautious about is to ensure that I am in line with my colleagues,
Okay.
that I don't attract too much emotional situations where you are overdoing others, and that you are working in cooperativeness with others, so that there is no sense of leaving others behind. I think that is one thing that I need to be aware of, that I'm playing as a team, and not out there just as by myself, taking the glory, because sometimes it doesn't augur too well for an individual. So that part I think I'm mindful of. Yes, I'm very mindful of.
We are wrapping up.
Yes.
Kind of. Mia Fiaga, you have the opportunity to comment on any national issue of interest. It could be anything. Galamsey, sanitation, health, education, what have you. What will it be?
I can take on the issue of Galamsey, right? Because much as we are all disgusted by the environmental factors, let us also be honest with the fact that our resources were not depleted, or are not being depleted by the local folks. Our associations with transnational companies have depleted Ghana's resources in many, many ways, that we've not held these companies to account. So as we try to hold the ordinary man to account, we should be mindful of the fact that there are others who are taking the big chunks of our resources. And therefore, how do we regulate Galamsey in a way that the ordinary man can thrive without affecting the environment? But Galamsey in itself is not the end of our life, but there are other aspects in terms of Ghana's history where our resources have been depleted by some of the big boys and not the small boys.
Yeah. So advice for the youth. advice for the youth?
Yeah. The youth, I think I have my work cut out for me in Anglong. Everybody thinks that I love them too much and that I get them to get away with things. But I stop by and I tell the youth, look, you can have fun, you can do whatever you want, but the level of respect for your elders, taking your education seriously. Being committed to your future cannot be negotiated. So for the youth, I would say, you have the energy, have your goals right. You don't have to do everything one day, but do little at a time. If you have to study 45 minutes, do that. In the long run, it all adds up to one big successful journey. But for the youth, you are the next future of our country. We believe in you, and we are very hopeful that you do greater things than we have done.
Okay. My last question. When Miafiaga Togbe Tamaklo the Sixth, your name is mentioned, what should we be talking about you or thinking about you?
Yeah, when you mentioned Togbe Nyaho Tamaklo the Sixth, Miafiaga of Anglong, Dufia of Huti, Paramount Chief of Kumashime, and head of the Ajovia clan. What I want you to remember is that my goal is to be one of the most revered traditional rulers of this country. I want to be principled, I want to be dedicated, I want to be focused, I want to work with all the different levels of government, national, regional, municipal. Traditional governance would not be successful without the cooperation of the three levels of government.
Miafiaga Togbe Nyaho Tamaklo the Sixth of Anglong Kingdom, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you. Indeed, we are so grateful, and we wish you all the best. Thank you. Akbekata.
Thank you so much, Gifty. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And it's rare for me in my first year to be granted this form. I look forward to being successful. I look forward to not disappointing you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you.
And God bless you.
Thank you. Well, so this has been Legends of Our Time on GBC News, Ghana Television, and on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Gifty AJ, and my guest for today has been Miafiaga Tamaklo the Sixth of Anglong Kingdom. Thanks so much for watching. We'll come your way same time next week. Until then, bye for now.